Well, we know for a fact that there's going to be at least one former Georgia quarterback on the Los Angeles Rams next year. As for the possibility of two quarterbacks, don't hold your breath. Welcome everybody to JG9 News, where we talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Jerry Gary, and I'm representing the 904 from the 602. And today, we are talking about the news that came out of Los Angeles earlier with the team signing free agent quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo to a one-year deal to be the backup quarterback to Matthew Stafford. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously a very disappointing season last year with the Las Vegas Raiders. He signed a massive contract there, gone after just one season. They got out of that contract partly because of that suspension that Garoppolo got for PEDs. He's going to be suspended for the first two games of the 2024 season, so he won't count against the 53-man roster for the first 2 weeks. But it's very clear that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the new backup quarterback in Los Angeles behind Matthew Stafford. And a lot of people have been speculating, what does this mean for the guy that the Rams drafted and thought very highly of last year in the fourth round? The former national champion and two-time national champion, for that matter, quarterback out of Georgia, Stetson Bennett. Well, this move probably solidifies the fact that Stetson Bennett will not be on the roster next year. Again, nothing official, but based off of previous history that McVay likes to go with, based on the quotes that McVay has made in the past, based on Bennett's performance, I'd be very, very surprised if the Rams do not compete with Stetson Bennett after just one season. For one, look, the Rams have two quarterbacks. They have Matthew Stafford, Jimmy Garoppolo, and that's really all that Sean McVay needs on the team. McVay has been with the Rams since 2017, so he's been there. Now he's entering his 8th season with the team. In the previous 7 years, more often than not, he's kept just two quarterbacks on the initial 53-man roster instead of three. Last year in particular, he kept just Matthew Stafford and Stetson Bennett. 2020, he kept Goff and John Wolford. 2019, he kept Goff and Blake Bortles. 2017, Goff and Sean Mannion. Now, it's not like a done deal. It's not like it's a concrete set-in-stone thing that he keeps two quarterbacks. Again, there are years where he's kept three, like 2022, for instance, where he kept Matthew Stafford alongside John Wolford and Bryce Perkins, the Virginia man. It's not like Mike Tomlin with the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he's been with the team since 2007, and every single season, except for one, which was 2019, he ended the season with three quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. And even that, bit of an asterisk next to that, because Ben Roethlisberger, the number one quarterback, he was on IR, and Mason Rudolph, the number two quarterback, he was on IR. So for all intents and purposes, they had three quarterbacks on the 53, and then just got hit with the injury bug. It's not like that. McVay can keep two quarterbacks, can keep three quarterbacks, but history shows that he is more likely to keep two quarterbacks than three quarterbacks. On top of that, you have the quotes from Sean McVay about Stetson Bennett. They don't know where he is. They don't know where he is. Now, he did work out and did post a video working out at Georgia, so that's encouraging to see, but Sean McVay doesn't sound optimistic that he's going to be back in 2024. Now, if you don't remember, Stetson Bennett last season left the Rams for a long period of time. He was placed on the non-football injury list after the preseason, and no one really knew why he was away from the team. Sean McVay didn't really disclose that. McVay told reporters in November of last year, "I'm not ready to say that he won't be back with us at all this year, but it's probably less likely than it is likely he would be," and he didn't play at all, wasn't on the roster for the Rams in 2023. McVay again didn't disclose what it was. Back in September, he said, "There are certain things that I think are a little bit bigger and more important, and out of respect for the particulars and the specifics, I want to be able to keep it in-house." All we know is that Stetson Bennett was in Athens, Georgia last year for a period of time. He did go back to Georgia after being placed on the NFI list by the Rams, but he was not with the team last year. And again, we don't know what his status is going to be heading into 2024. Back in January, Sean McVay said this on whether he expected Stetson Bennett to be with the team during the 2024 season. This according to Gary Klein, the reporter for the Los Angeles Times. "You know, I don't know that. I think that's a conversation for another time. I think he's doing better, but I wouldn't be in a position to answer that accurately right now." That's not very encouraging. 1 month later at the NFL Combine, he said this, once again according to Gary Klein, "The Rams will connect with Stetson Bennett at the appropriate time," and McVay added, "and you figure out, all right, where are you at? And this is something we feel like is best for him and our football team to bring him back into this ecosystem." So Stetson Bennett dealing with some stuff, left the team last year. They don't know if he's coming back. They have no word on whether he's coming back. Granted, the workout video, I guess, is encouraging to some extent, but you don't sign Jimmy Garoppolo if you're confident that Stetson Bennett is coming back and you only carry 2 quarterbacks on the roster more often than not. On top of that, it's not like Stetson Bennett was that encouraging during the preseason last year as it was. Last preseason, he went 36 for 62 across the 3 games, 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, was wildly inaccurate, 58% completion percentage, which is abysmal, passer rating of 64.3. For some perspective, the league-wide average last season is around 92. He was doing 64.3 against second and third string guys. Pro Football Focus, their grades aren't gospel, especially when it comes to quarterback. There's a lot of criticism with their gradings, and rightfully so, especially with the quarterback position. It's not gospel, it's not the end-all be-all, but Pro Football Focus had him as the lowest graded passer amongst all qualified players in the preseason. Again, not gospel, not the end-all be-all, but you get the idea. Stetson Bennett wasn't exactly that encouraging last year. It's rare for a team to necessarily cut bait from a 4th-round pick at quarterback after just 1 season, but based on the Jimmy Garoppolo signing, it's looking likely that they will do that with Stetson Bennett, because I don't think you make this signing if you know that Stetson Bennett's coming back and you have confidence in him. Now, you might be saying, well, wait a second, doesn't Jimmy Garoppolo count against the 53-man roster for only the final 15 games of the season? What about the first 2 weeks? He won't count against the 53. You still need a backup quarterback for that. Well, the Rams might just go the undrafted free agent route. They might do that. Remember Bryce Perkins from Virginia? They could do that. Could do a guy like that. I'm not saying they're going to sign Perkins, but if there's an undrafted free agent that they like, they could bring him in and have him as the backup quarterback and then relegate him to the practice squad when Jimmy Garoppolo becomes eligible. Or you just wait to see if someone gets cut. As it stands, Carson Wentz, he was on the roster last year. If he can't latch on to a 53-man roster for the 2024 season, because right now he is still unsigned, if he is cut from another team, you could see Carson Wentz potentially being the backup quarterback to Stafford for the first 2 games of the season, and then Garoppolo comes into the fold. They might draft a quarterback, but I doubt that. Yes, the Rams have 11 picks, including 4 in round 6, but Sean McVay, let's see, they don't really like drafting quarterbacks. McVay has been with the team since 2017, and Stetson Bennett, in those 7 years, is quite literally the only quarterback that he's drafted. And based on everything, it seems like he's 0 for 1 in that regard. But based on the Jimmy Garoppolo signing, based on Sean McVay's history with roster management in terms of having 2 quarterbacks on the roster versus 3 to start the season off, based on how poorly Bennett played in the preseason, and based on everything going on in Stetson Bennett's personal life, I think the Jimmy Garoppolo move solidifies the fact that it would be very, very unlikely if Stetson Bennett is a member of the Los Angeles Rams in 2024. But what are your thoughts on the whole situation? Do you think the Rams move on from Stetson Bennett after just 1 season? Do you think he even plays in the NFL this year? And if he does, what team do you think he will be with? Do you think Stetson Bennett has any value? Do you think he can play in this league? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And that's going to do it for this episode of JG9 News. Be sure you like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check out my main channel, JaguarGator9, where we talk all things NFL history all the time. I got the Rams case behind me for this video right here. Hopefully you like that. But until next time, this is JaguarGator9 signing off. And as always, go Jags.